The Oklahoma Sooners got an incredibly favorable schedule from the SEC.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there, and thank you for making the Locked On Network the number one sports podcast network. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire and USA Today Sports, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. On today's show, it's Friday Fan Feels. We got more all SEC honors, and Jay, we got the schedule for the 2026 college football season, and I, for one, really like what I see.
Yeah, when you look at the actual schedule itself. So let's pull this back real quick, John. So we talked about this last season coming into this one, and all we heard about was the gauntlet and how tough the schedule is going to be and gruesome. And Oklahoma will be lucky to get 8 wins this season, and Oklahoma pulled out 10 out of it. But that one, if you really looked at it going into the preseason, was pretty tough. Like you would, and the expectation based upon last season's production, the season before's production, you expected it to be tougher. Well, going into next season, it gets a little bit more favorable. So let me pull this up for everybody. This is what was revealed Thursday night on SEC Network, SEC Now. They basically broke it down for 2 hours. They made you stick around for the first basically hour because they did it week by week, which made it even more fascinating. We'll have to do that on Monday's show. Kind of look at the opponents and stuff and kind of get an understanding of who they play and everything before. But based upon the way this is set, there's 2 things that I think fans need to know. Number one, there's only one bye week next season. For the uninitiated, the reason is that the schedule is set based upon how Labor Day sets. College football always opens Labor Day weekend. The following weekend, the NFL opens. And because Labor Day this time, the first isn't on a Monday, where Labor Day will fall there, we lose a week completely. So based upon that, our bye week will be October 3rd, which is after our 4th game, which means we get the second thing, 8 straight SEC games to go with the 9 games we have to play this year since we moved to a 9-game schedule. So, John, our first SEC game next season is between the hedges out in Athens, Georgia.
Let's go.
That one is huge. Pretty exciting to see that. And then, of course, bye week, Texas. That's when, you have the Texas State Fair in Red River. But Texas also has a bye week right before it. So it's going to make it even more interesting because we're going to be both coming in fresh instead of Texas walking in after a game against Florida. But yeah, it's going to be a very, very intriguing look going forward for the for the Sooners this season.
I love that our first SEC game of the 2026 season is in a place that we've never played before. Oklahoma has never been to Athens. That is going to be an incredible environment. We've played them one time, all time. 2017 Rose Bowl. That's it.
Oh, don't remind me.
It's going to be reminded, whether we talk about it now
the other day
or we talk about it in January or we talk about it next September. It's going to be discussed.
Can we talk about next September, though? Can we hold off until next September?
I'll try my best, but it's just one of those things. Ask my former co-host, David Walker, from the first year. I bring up bad memories all the time. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. It's going to be prime for a night game in Athens.
Yes.
Because there's a great chance both teams will go into that thing undefeated. It'll be prime for a college game day environment. It's going to be huge because you're looking at the SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs facing a blue blood in the Oklahoma Sooners, both teams coming off of playoff berths. Like, that's going to be an awesome, awesome atmosphere.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's the thing that gets me excited is that we get to see them in Athens, first time, like you said, and we get to see them first. That I feel like they threw us a bone with that one because yeah, you'll come off Michigan, but right before you play them, you'll have the New Mexico game at home to kind of tune you back up after traveling up to Ann Arbor, because your biggest games are back-to-back road games and then the neutral site game. So you don't really have any home games that everybody to really get super excited about.
Mm-hmm.
But like you mentioned, since it's our first trip there, I like that it's early, so the weather will be a little bit more favorable too. And again, like you said, there's a very good chance that that's a night game.
Yeah.
That really gets me pretty stoked.
I don't know what Septembers are like in Georgia, but I don't imagine that
late September is way better than going there in early September. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. The other really good thing I like about this, Jay, is that you don't have any back-to-back road games.
Yes.
In your non-conference schedule, you play home against UTEP, at Michigan, home against New Mexico. And then again, you don't play any back-to-back road games. This year you had to play, back-to-back road games against Tennessee. You had a bye week and then Alabama, but no back-to-back road games. Even though you have to play 8 straight to finish the season, you do get back-to-back home games in November, which again will be another critical month for the Oklahoma Sooners as they try to make a playoff push. But I mean, based on the way that this sets up, like coming out of the Texas game, you're home against Kentucky, against a first-time head coach in Will Stein. He's going to have a good offensive game plan, but still his first time to go up against Brent Venables defense. Then you go on the road to Starkville and play Jeff Lebby in Stark Vegas. That'll be a lot of fun in October. And then you get to host South Carolina to come back to Norman. And then that final month, man, Florida, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Missouri to close the season. Like that 4-game stretch is going to be critical. And it kind of rivals the 4-game stretch you had to play this year. And I mean, all 4 of those games are going to be like playoff atmospheres.
Yeah. 100% going to be full-fledged atmospheres of just
raucousness.
Yes, there you go. That's good. And I like that we have back-to-back home games with Ole Miss, A&M right there. That to me can help you. That's a great way to close out the season. It's a great way to play Red November because you got to make sure you have at least 2 home games in Red November. And I'm glad that we have that because we have 2 home games in October as well. So basically we have 2 home games in every month this time around, whereas we don't have that, like you said, that back-to-back road game. It's a lot more favorable than I anticipated when you really dig into it. Plus you actually play against Kentucky, play against Mississippi State. I mean, no shade to either one of those, but you have that. Plus you get to see a few new coaches. Michigan, of course, now with the awkwardness of that. Michigan has a new coach. Kentucky has a new coach. Florida has a new coach. So you've got at least 3 teams that are trying to figure things out with new regimes that you technically can take advantage of. That's a big plus, especially because we anticipate a lot of returning talent coming back to this team next season.
Yeah, it's going to be an experienced team for the Oklahoma Sooners. So there's going to be a lot of continuity, whereas there's not as much continuity for those other teams. One thing I thought was really kind of funny, Jay, I don't know if you watched the OU football announcement of the schedule on social media, and you can probably find it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you're at.
Oh, yeah.
If you pay close attention, Jay, for each of Oklahoma's home games, there's something energetic and exciting and, again, raucousness happening, except for the Texas A&M game. And this is the scene that they put up for Texas A&M. Are they trying to tell us that, like, boring, like the Aggies don't bring that kind of energy? Like nobody gets excited for the Aggies? Is that what they're trying to tell us?
I don't know. I wonder if
that's
a little
also subversive shade.
Possibly, or was it a reminder of the 77 to whatever game?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I didn't look that closely to see that. I'm going to throw that back up there. Is there?
Because the place kind of emptied out once, the score was 77 to,
It's true. Yeah. Yeah. So go watch that video wherever you do your social media stuff, because it's a great video to kind of break down and get you ready for the SEC. It shows the Gator in Gainesville, it shows the Grove in I guess you get Ole Miss home this year. I can't remember the other environments that it showed, but it was just cool. But for A&M,
they did a good job. And I like that they had
completely empty stadium.
The schooner riding around each stadium, because they did that when we first moved in. They had the schooner driving by, so they leveraged that in a lot of it. I thought that was pretty cool as well.
Yeah. Hey, we had a couple more Sooners receive some all SEC honors and one big snub. We'll discuss that coming up next here on Locked On Sooners.
Let's talk about something most men don't bring up, but absolutely should. Stress from work, money, life. It doesn't switch off at night. And when it shows up at the worst possible time, Rouge Ready is designed to help you take back control. Rouge Ready is a next-generation prescription treatment created to support both the brain and the body so you can feel present, confident, and ready when the moment matters. Rouge Ready combines 3 clinically proven ingredients in 1 mint that dissolves under your tongue so it's absorbed really, really fast. You connect with a board-certified doctor online, and everything ships discreetly to your door. Plus, it's easy to understand why over 150,000 men have already made the switch. Most men are ready within about 15 minutes on average, so you can stay present, confident, and in control when the moment is right. So if you've been thinking about taking the next steps, now's the time. Hit the rougetready.com/locked-on-college. That's RUGIET.com/locked-on-college and get 15% off your first order for a limited time. Rouge Ready. Feel present, feel confident, feel ready. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels very different. That's what making live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump right into the moment. Like looking at some of the spreads for the weekend. I mean, Tampa Bay's game is already finished up, but you've got like the Houston Texans here sitting at 9.5 with the Arizona Cardinals. That game could be kind of weird. You have an opportunity to jump in there with the live spread, the money live, adjusting as the games go on. You can even bet the next touchdown scored, drive results, totals, so much more. Keeps you locked into every single snap because when you play those anytime touchdowns, it's always a good chance that you can hit something, especially when you're talking about Josh Allen out there with the Buffalo Bills. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com, place your first NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Once again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And again, thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Sooners with no interruptions, members only Discord access, and more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club to find out more. Jay, we had a pair of Oklahoma Sooners earn some all SEC freshman team honors, Tory Blaylock and Courtland Guillory.
As expected, they better have. I mean, they were two of the better freshmen out there in the conference, especially Courtland Guillory, who was balling out at corner. Like, it was good to see how Courtland has grown for us this year. I didn't mention this on the last set of awards he got as a true freshman All-American or whatnot for On 3. And the AP's probably going to give him the same award as well. But it was really good seeing how the attacks on him didn't phase him throughout the year. Teams targeted him, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go after true freshmen because they're the ones with the least experience and the ones that are guaranteed to make some sort of a freshman mistake. He had a couple battles that he didn't win, but he knew the war was far from over, and so he kept battling, and here you go. You finish the season as a freshman All-American, all SEC honors, right? On 3's All-American squad as a true freshman. You get to make all of those mainly because you didn't quit. And so that excites me. And then, of course, Tory Blaylock comes in there. If he was a lot healthier, his numbers probably would have been even higher. But the good thing is they recognize that he was balling when he was 100%.
And even though his numbers aren't great, he still led the Oklahoma Sooners in rushing this year,
which is crazy,
with 444 yards.
Stuff.
Like, he finished just ahead of Xavier Robinson. but he was critical to your early season success. Remember, Jaden Ott couldn't find his way onto the football field. The coaching staff didn't trust him. Javonte Barnes played early and then sat out the rest of the season. Xavier Robinson was banged up all year. Taylor Tatum was banged up all year. So it was really the Tory Blaylock and only the Tory Blaylock show for the first 7-8 games of this season.
Yeah, roughly.
Because Javonte Barnes played his 4 and then was done. Jaden Ott was not good, and so he sat down. You needed Tory Blaylock, and he came through in a big, big way. Remember, had 100 yards rushing against South Carolina in a game where you still weren't getting a whole lot from your offense because John Mateer was still trying to find his way after the thumb surgery. But you had to have that win coming out of the Texas week, and Tory Blaylock gave you 2 big plays on that opening drive that really catapulted you to a victory. He got that big, what was it? 2nd and 19 run for like 18 yards or something like that. And then later in that drive, it was like a 1st and 15 and he runs in for a touchdown from like the 20-yard line. So like those 2 plays were incredibly important to the success of the rest of your season. And then you talk about Courtland Guillory, 2nd on the team in snaps this year on an Oklahoma defense that is one of the best in the nation. A true freshman emerged and became one of the stars on this team. He wasn't just a true freshman along for the ride. He was absolutely contributing every single week. And you don't win 10 games without either of these 2 guys, but especially without Courtland Guillory playing the way that he played. Let me read to you the targets over the last 5 games of the season. Okay. Ole Miss came after him, 8 targets, only gave up 2 receptions. Tennessee, 7. Yeah, I know that was bonkers, like really balled out in that one. Tennessee, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 5 targets against Alabama, just 2 receptions. And then only 3 targets against Missouri, only 2 targets against LSU. Against Texas, they only targeted him 2 times. He gave 1 catch for 4 yards. Like in Oklahoma's biggest games, he played big. The only game in which he looked like a true freshman was the Auburn game. And again, going up against a Cam Coleman, who will be a top 15 pick in the NFL draft when he comes out. Courtland Guillory was a star this year.
Oh yeah, he balled out. And the future is so bright. Him and you got Eli Bowen together that, yeah, man. I'm so proud that we've been able to build out the one position that I think we were the most concerned about.
Yeah.
Honestly, since BV's been here, is really getting some really good corners that can handle it. I mean, Eli, of course, again, he gave you some good stuff when he finally came in as a true freshman last year. And most of the time with Oklahoma, you had a lot of Jay Valai had to rely heavily. Him and Brent Venables had to rely heavily on the portal, as they were trying to figure that room out. And then because Gentry couldn't stay healthy, that was one of your biggest issues. But then you got Eli, and now you got Courtland. And I love the guys right behind them as well. Jacoby Johnson gave you a little something. I'm very excited about Tristan Haynes as well as Malik Hawkins adding to that room. Devon Jordan going out there getting sacks as a corner.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of promise in that room going forward, and that's what you're going to need in order to survive the SEC is corners that are going to be aggressive and ready to play immediately. And so, yeah, Oklahoma has done a good job with that. Shout out to Jay Valai. Him and BV found some aggressive dudes, and they look good. So
they found guys that can live on an island and be okay with it. And with as much as they blitz, that was incredibly important. You had to have guys that were willing to go be that guy that can be on an island and not be flustered by it, not be caught off guard, not, be, panicky out there in coverage. And for a true freshman like Courtland Guillory and like Eli Bowen, both guys in back-to-back years, because Eli Bowen was a true freshman All-American, Courtland Guillory as well. For these guys to be able to be that in year one, I mean, the sky is the limit. Courtland Guillory, I mean, he's putting himself in that position to where he could be talked about as a first-round corner here in a few years if he continues to develop and play the way that he's playing. It's crazy. And I know you want to get to this part because Michael Fasusi not getting on this all SEC freshman list. Like, what are we doing here? This is coaches. What are you watching, man?
So David Sanders from Tennessee, as well as was it Carroll from Alabama, were the two true freshman linemen that got picked as SEC freshmen. Look, I know David Sanders was really good. He started since beginning of the season. He had an injury that I think he was out for maybe a game or so, and I know how good of a player he is. I still don't understand how you could have overlooked Michael Fasusi in this scenario. I guess they just saw that those two played every single game that gives that to them. But yeah, that was tough for me to try to justify that when it comes to those two.
I don't remember Michael Fasusi getting cooked the way that Taylor Wine cooked Andrew Carroll. I don't recall a play like that from Michael Fasusi this season. Has he been perfect? No. Has he had some penalties? Yes. Is he a true freshman? 100%. But in pass protection, he's been pretty consistent. He's been pretty good, despite going up against some of the best pass rushers in college football all season long. So how you leave him off this team, I don't know, but I appreciate the SEC, all these fan bases, just adding a little bit more fuel to the fire here, whether it's for the defensive line, for Michael Fasusi, whatever it is. There's just more, bulletin board material for them to just feed off of as they get ready for the playoff.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Use this as additional fuel and go prove a point.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say.
That's the best way to right these wrongs, is to go prove a point. All right. Hey, it's time for your favorite segment of the week. It's Friday Fan Feels. Let's get into it. Coming up next here on Locked On Sooners. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on. And if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it, so when they plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. You can add a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels thoughtful the moment it's open, and packaging comes gift ready. I love this part because I don't have to worry about price tag being on it or getting it wrapped. It's a huge win. So if you got family that lives across the country and you want to ship something to them that's going to be ready for them to put under the Christmas tree and be ready to open, you got to check out Aura Frames. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's auraframes.com. Promo code COLLEGE. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Again, thanks for making Locked On Sooners your first listen and for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. It's time for your favorite segment of the week. It's Friday Fan Feels, and we asked you how you're feeling about the Oklahoma Sooners a week out from the college football playoff, and here's what y'all had to say. I feel like Oklahoma can make a deep run into the playoffs. Boomer Sooner for life. That comes from Caravan OK.
I 100% agree with you there. I think that this team can surprise a lot. First, got to get past Alabama. That's the most important thing, especially in a rematch situation. The rumors floating around about, people feeling beat up and hurt and kind of struggling, maybe kind of beneficial to Oklahoma, may not. I don't know. But I'll say that it'll be definitely it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun weekend as we prepare for it. I'm just ready to see what the injury report looks like for us.
Yeah, if we can get our Mason Thomas back, if Xavier Robinson and Tory Blaylock are healthier than what they've been the last month of the season, dude, I have no reason not to feel confident in Oklahoma. We both picked Oklahoma to beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and I feel more confident about this team going into this game than I did that game.
Yeah.
So it's time. All right. This one comes from Tabs R Us. He says the offense has had 3 weeks to recover and prepare. If they're going to show up this season, this is the time to do it. If they are up to the task, then no one is safe.
Yeah, this is your opportunity. You've, like I said, you've had roughly 3 weeks to get everybody healthy. John Mateer's had his weeks to try to figure things out and prepare for this defense. This is now his chance to go out there and throw for 300 and some yards, right? It's your chance to go out there and throw for some yards. You probably won't throw for 300. Georgia couldn't even get 300 in total offense against this defense. And so let's be realistic here, folks. This is an SEC defense. There's a reason why it's tough for everybody, period. But we should be able to have some fun in our own stadium and be able to really sling the ball a little bit better, or at least run the ball better. I anticipate with the offensive line possibly being stronger, being healthier, the running back should be a little bit better. We should be able to make some things happen on the ground. And that's kind of what I'm be looking for as we talk about it going into next week. What the heck this ground game looks like.
Protect the football, find some explosives like you have, get the run game going, get Jaren Kanak more involved. Good things happen when Jaren Kanak is involved in the offense, and you're going to have a chance. But again, a lot of it does come down to what does the defense do to slow down Ty Simpson and an explosive Alabama offense. This one comes from Stephen Hart. Health, healing, home. Big things for Bama to overcome, especially with Venables and the deep, talented defense.
Yes. And the way that we played them in Tuscaloosa, I don't think that'll be the same strategy. I think you'll see a lot more aggressiveness in this game, which will be more beneficial because, again, they're dealing with, potential injuries or, some players, being a little tight. Some injuries you can tell are ones that take a few weeks more than what just a couple of weeks. It takes months sometimes to really get over. If the rumors are true around the tight end and the running back and the quarterback, they're going to come in here still limping and with a lot of battle wounds from that Georgia game that you probably were going to try to exploit. Oh, headphone fell. So,
it's time to make Ty Simpson uncomfortable early. Don't let him settle in, get into a rhythm, get comfortable in the pocket, get after him early and see what he's got. If he's got if he's able to beat you early and get some throws, then okay, fine, but challenge him. Make him beat you with his arm, make him beat the blitz, make him uncomfortable. This one comes from the 80s cat. He says, not sure. Bama will be hungry for revenge, but they do have some injuries and drama going on, as Jay just alluded to. Think OU pulls it out. It will be close.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun, close game. I would like for us to just blow them out and call it a day. I would like for us to have another 2024. That would be awesome. Just go 24-3 and just shut them out and make it really tough on them. But I'm being realistic. Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb are really good offensive guys. They do a really good job of scheming things up. Now, granted, we probably have a game plan you can watch again with the UGA game and how they really bottled them up in the second half. Probably could do something similar this time around. We have more film and we have a better understanding of how to really slow them down, but there's no guarantees here. We still got to go out there and execute. But I know BV is going to have these boys ready.
Yeah, he is going to have them ready. I think about this offense and I think, okay, what were the games where maybe they struggled the most? And aside from in Tuscaloosa against Oklahoma, where, listen, they did throw for a lot of yards, but on the road, they weren't super successful. Against Florida State in Tallahassee, they only averaged 5.9 yards per play. Now they were a little bit more successful against Georgia on a yard per play basis, 8.2 yards per play, but they only scored 24 points. Against South Carolina, again, they scored 29. But again, we know that South Carolina team was beat up, banged up, struggling, but they still only averaged 5.9 yards per play. And then against Auburn, again, a team that was just kind of on its last legs, aside from it being a rivalry game, Alabama only averaged, I was looking at the wrong number. Wait, they averaged only 3.5 yards per play, yards per attempt against Auburn. Man, I was looking at all the wrong numbers. All right, let's do this again. Florida State, 4.7. Georgia, 5.2. Missouri, 4.3. South Carolina, 4.9. Auburn, 3.8. All road games, all below their season average of 5.7. So
yeah.
Coming into Norman against an Oklahoma defense that already had a successful game against them in front of a fan base like it is in Norman with Oklahoma and Sooner Nation, I don't expect them to be better than their average on the season in yards per play.
No, me either. They have struggled on the road, and they really have struggled. Like, the run game was actually better against Auburn, but they could not pass for nothing. And it was bad. Like, Ty Simpson, as it was mentioned, it felt like we broke him. Even though he put up good numbers in that game, it was not a good game for him, like, overall. Like, it's just, you saw a massive regression. Mm-hmm. And I've heard Bama fans say that they felt like Oklahoma put out the blueprint to beat them, which, in a way, they kind of did that last year too, but whatevs. Yeah, there was pain that was seen in that game. Now, like I said, the run game was a lot better against Auburn, but then Georgia was -3. I mean, you go from 80 to 158 to -3. Whew. Mm-hmm. And it's not going to get any better because their running backs are still hurt. So
yeah,
the question is can they get movement against us in Norman in the cold? Because running is going to be critical in this game because the weather is not going to be optimal for throwing it anyway. Mm-hmm. They're going to have to figure out how to run the ball, and Ty Simpson's not going to be a factor when it comes to that.
Yeah, so their sixth lowest games in yards per play were on the road or the neutral site SEC championship game against Georgia. The seventh lowest game in yards per play this season was against us, against Oklahoma in Tuscaloosa. Yep. So again, bodes well, I think, for the Sooners defense. Final one comes here from Garon Tokoi is how I'm going to pronounce it. Depends on Mateer. He does too much when he doesn't have to. I listen. I get we don't want interceptions. You never want interceptions, but this is a defense that can make up for interceptions from your quarterback. I want my quarterback to take some chances at times. I want my quarterback to push the ball down the field. I want my quarterback to go make some plays because you got to score points to win football games. And if your quarterback holds the ball too long and is indecisive and takes too many sacks or is making bad decisions because he's holding the ball too long, that's not good either. So there's a balance. Absolutely there is. But I need John Mateer to just go sling that thing, as Jay likes to say.
Yeah, sling that thing, man. I need you to be aggressive. And he will be. The weather is going to determine a lot for Mateer. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if we're going to really chunk it a lot in this game. I do expect a lot more just design runs, just to be safe, just in the weather itself, right? But I don't want Mateer to be afraid to throw the ball. I want him to be aggressive with his passes. I want him to continue that because I mentioned it coming into the season. He's coming over to a new conference, the SEC first year. It's not dudes don't just come in the SEC and dominate year one. Year two, different story. It's like they get an understanding, they get the tape, they get an understanding of how teams are going to try to scheme against them, and then they show out. If John Mateer is going to have a year, it'll be next season, similar to Diego Pavia, to Jaden Daniels, to Joe Burrow. You go down the list of these quarterbacks that, Jackson Dart. Year two, they all look a lot different than they did year one. Year one was a struggle. Year two, they always got better. So I anticipate John Mateer to look better next season. Right now, the biggest thing for him, though, is the focus on making sure that he pushes the ball against Bama. Because I'm going to be honest, they get against Indiana, he might actually play a little bit better against them in comparison.
Just win, baby. That's really what it comes down to.
Just win.
It doesn't matter how it looks. Just win. They're not going to care if you win 13-10 or 33-10. All that matters is getting that dub.
Dub's a dub.
Dub is a dub. And we can't wait to break all this thing down with you. Next week, we're going to have our crossover edition with the guys from Locked On Bama. We're going to try and set up some intriguing things, some interesting things to discuss here as we get ready for Oklahoma and Alabama in the college football playoff, Oklahoma's first playoff appearance since 2019. But that's going to do it for today's episode. Make sure you follow Jay at Unfair Sports. You can follow me at John9Williams. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. Make sure you subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts and over on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. And if you want to join the Everydayer Club, go to lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer club or check the link in the description to get access to ad-free audio and an Everydayer Discord chat that allows you to interact with more Everydayers that are a part of the Locked On Network. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer
Sooner.
Also, make sure you check out our weekend episodes. We've got some great stuff coming at you here on Locked On Sooners.